Hey my glam girls, welcome back to my channel. It's Chelsea, where we talk about all things glam and all things girly. I'm a beauty enthusiast and consultant who loves to talk about everything dealing with beauty and makeup, and today we have our September favorites. I cannot wait to talk about these products because they are all amazing. So let's get into all of that. Thank you so much for spending some time with me today. I truly do appreciate it. And let's get right into this video. So the first thing I'm going to talk about, let's start off with complexion and then work our way kind of as to how I do my makeup. So we've got two amazing foundations, which I actually did a comparison between the two. I did this video last week, so I'll link it for you, but we have the Patrick Ta. This is his FAVES foundation. It's a cream foundation. I wear the shade Tan 1. It comes with the cream foundation here and then a finishing powder here. The foundation is beautiful. This foundation, if I had to summarize it, I would say this is the perfect kind of everyday wear type of foundation. It's actually the way that he describes it, and I think he describes it amazingly because you're gonna get light to medium coverage. This is definitely going to, you know, tone down your redness, perfect the skin. It does have some properties in it that are going to help to diminish the pores. And although I don't think this is the most pore reducing type of formula, it definitely does reduce the pores to where I don't feel the need to go in with a pore filling primer. I mean, I don't really have that many pores, but there are some foundations where I will go in with a pore filling primer because it does not do anything for my pores. This definitely does address the pores. There's a lot of silicone in this particular formula, which I don't mind at all. Fragrance free, and it's a really beautiful finish on the skin. Shade wise, I do enjoy this shade. It's a bit deep for my complexion, but I can make it work. The finishing powder, I don't use the finishing powder too much if I'm being honest, but it is nice. Like, I have used it a few times, and when I do use it, it's really nice on the skin. I just tend to reach for like my tried and true powders when I am going for setting powders or other types of finishing powders. So it's nothing against this finishing powder, it's just a preference. When I do use this, I can use this under the eyes and all over the face because it is going to be more translucent, and it's not a very heavy powder at all. It is quite light in its formula, which I really do like. The cream foundation, for it to be a cream, it's also light in its formula, and it's really a beautiful foundation. Now, the one that I think is just that girl, I think I said that in the review, is this one by Haus Lab. So this is their Triclone Skin Tech Foundation. I have the shade 370, which is going to be for medium neutral complexions. One of you guys, I think her YouTube channel is called The Clean Beauty Code. I think that's her YouTube channel, and she suggested I get shade 330. So I am going to go back to the store and try that shade. This shade does look too warm against my skin, but I can make it work. So I'm going to try shade 330, but let me tell you, this foundation is it. Okay, first of all, it perfects everything. Like, the pores are gone. Imperfections, where are you? All of this texture that I have on my chin, it's like we don't even exist anymore. This is such a beautiful foundation. Medium to full coverage for sure. You can build this up to be as full coverage as you want it to be, but of course apply less and you can have more of a medium type of coverage. It lasts all day, as well as the Patrick Ta. This one has really good lasting power as well. It has like 20 plus skincare ingredients in it. It's such a beautiful formulation. I feel like this foundation really can work for any skin type. Of course, if you have more oily skin, you'll definitely want to go in with your mattifying primers and setting this, because at the end of the day, you can look a little radiant, a little dewy, but it's not gonna be so overly dewy that I feel like individuals with oily skin is just gonna be like, get away from me. I mean, some might, but I do feel like if you're not someone who minds a radiant finish at the end of the day, then really any type of skin will enjoy this. Dry skin, go on with your hydrating primers, but you're gonna really love this. I have more normal skin, so I like to go in with a Pat McGrath Rose Essence. That's actually what I've been using as of late, and let me get her out. This is nothing new, but let me just tell you, this Pat McGrath Rose Essence is by far one of my favorite products of the year. This really works so well under any type of foundation. It preps the skin beautifully. Like, it is a skincare essence, but this joker is such a beautiful, hydrating, primerish type of product. So I've really been enjoying this month. This is another favorite. I had packed it away because I'm going out of town, but I just wanted to mention that. But primarily I'll just go in with the Pat McGrath Rose Essence, and then I will apply this, and it just sits beautifully. So even though finding a shade in this foundation might be a bit of a hassle, I think it is worth the hassle because the finish of it is just darling. Amazing, okay? Amazing. Okay, then we're gonna go on to concealer. Milk Makeup came out with their Future Concealer. This is called their Future Fluid All Over Cream Concealer. So I have the shade 14N. This one is nice. So we're getting full coverage from this concealer for sure. A little bit goes a very long ways. Like, you do not need a lot. And I'll also mention that with the Haus Labs foundation, you don't need a lot of this. So with this particular concealer, I am wearing it today. I tend to put too much on. So like, I would suggest when you apply this concealer, take it off the doe foot. It does come with a nice size doe foot. Swipe it on the back of your hand, and then either use your finger to apply or dip your brush in it and apply that way. Because even when I scrape the product off of the doe foot and then apply, I still feel like I apply too much. How to the ever. If you apply too much, the most amazing thing about this concealer is that it still blends into the skin effortlessly. So in the process of blending, I will be very scared. I'm like, oh my gosh, I've applied way too much. But then by the time I blend it in, I'm just like, here we go, here we go. With this formula, I would say you would want to set it. It's not one of those formulas that claims that it is self-setting. However, you don't need a lot of powder to set it because it doesn't budge too much. I would say that if you have drier skin, make sure your skin is hydrated because this formula is not the most emollient. Sometimes when I have applied it under my eyes, and especially if it's been like a minute since I've put on my skincare, and I'm just kind of throwing something on my face, sometimes this can look a bit dry under my eyes, and my skin there is quite dry. So just make sure that you go in with some type of hydrating primer. Maybe use your eye cream if your eyes are or that under eye area is very dry. Make sure it's hydrated so that this sits even better. But it is beautiful, absolutely love it. Like I said, I'm wearing it today. It wears for a very long time. This is really good. Very, very, very good. Powders that I've been loving. Danessa Myricks Evolution Powder. I have been loving this month, and Kosas Cloud Set Powder in the shade Comfy. These are nothing new to me. In the Evolution Powder, I wear shade 02. I can use this powder to set under the eyes and all over the face because it's a translucent powder, even though it does have a hint of color to it. I've been loving this one because it's so lightweight. I'm talking light as air. Lightweight, and when I just want to dust powder over the face, but I don't want to take away all the sheen, but I just want to make sure things are nice and set, this powder has just been immaculate for that. And then for the Kosas Cloud Set Powder, I mean, if you're not new here, you know how much I love this. I've just been reaching for it to set my T-zone, and the most blurring, the most flawless powder still reigns supreme. Still reigns supreme. And I've been loving some other powders too, but let me just tell you, these two I have truly been enjoying. Now, another powder that is newer that I've been loving has been by our good old Char Girl. So remember, she came out with these brightening powders, and I did do a review on both of the shades, the fair shade and the medium to tan shade. The one I've been reaching for consistently though is that good old fair to medium shade, right? Yes, fair to medium. So it's so brightening without looking stark and ashy. So I'm actually wearing this today. I applied it down my T-zone, and I actually applied it right before I started filming this video because I've had this face on how long has this face been on? I've had this face on for about a good 8 hours or so. So this is not going to be your setting powder. So like this is not the best to set your concealer. This is definitely just more so a brightening powder. So I have used it to set my under eyes, and if I'm using a concealer that really does need to be set, it does not hold it as well as like my Kosas powder or other types of actual setting powders. So what I like to do is I'll go in with like the Kosas powder to set my concealer, set my T-zone area, and then I will go on top with this brightening powder. And that's where I feel like I've been loving this powder the most. It brightens the skin without making, like I said, making it too stark. And it just looks beautiful and like pearlescent. It's so beautiful. The tan shade, if I'm being honest, I don't even reach for this. And I can't tell you why. I think the reason why I don't reach for this is because I primarily have been using this powder to brighten the T-zone, and I don't really think about brightening the perimeter of my face, because that's what I'm gonna, you know, maybe add a shimmer or blush to, or I might add my highlight to that area. So this shade would work better for me all over the face. I'm gonna try to reach for it more because it is beautiful, but I would say if you have a deeper, richer complexion, you can most definitely use this tan, what is this, medium to tan? Tan to deep shade. I know it doesn't look like that, but trust and believe me, you can use it and it will not look stark and ashy and all of that on the skin. But it is a beautiful powder. I have really been enjoying it. Okay, bronzer. Nothing new, but the Balm Contour by Danessa Myricks. I have the shade medium 3. This has also been another love that I've just fallen in love with it again. So I tend to bronze my skin. I don't contour as much as I bronze, and this is the perfect medium of like bronzing and contouring. Love this shade, so I'll just do a quick swatch so you can see the shade. The formula is so blendable. A little bit goes a very long way, and it's so user-friendly. So this is another one of those formulas that if you were to apply too much, don't you worry, just keep blending. You will blend it right into the skin. It blends effortlessly into the skin. And I've been reaching for it just time and time again. Either this or the balm powder in the shade 8. Those two have been the products that I've been using to bronze the skin. Today I used the balm powder in shade 8 to bronze the skin, and girl, I've been loving it, loving it. Okay, blush and highlighter. Okay, Hourglass has made me so happy with these palettes. Okay, so I've done a full review, so I'm not gonna sit here and recap the review. You guys can watch that, but what I am gonna do is tell you which one of these I've used the most and really have loved. It has been the Tiger palette. This palette right here, she is amazing. Okay, works for me as a bronzer. This one, I would not solely use it as a bronzer. For me, the undertone of it is a little rosy. So I will use this to bronze, but it may not be the sole bronzer for the day, because I do like something a little more neutral. These blushes, I mean, let me just look at that. This blush just makes the palette worth it by itself. It is so pretty. The highlighter shades, these two highlighter shades are amazing. These, I mean, all of them are just beautiful. So for me, this palette technically is a little too deep in terms of, can I use all of these shades maybe the way that they're intended to use? Like for instance, this highlighter shade is a little too deep for me. This highlighter shade works beautifully. This shade here, I think it's also a highlighter shade, and this would not be a highlighter on me. It would be more of like a blush topper. But this palette has been the one that I've reached for the most, and I really enjoy it. The one that I reach for after that is going to be the Elephant palette. And I kept the packaging the same as Hourglass did. So this palette when I demoed it, you really couldn't see much on my complexion. Now these blushes I have worn more, and you can see them more on my skin, especially if I apply them onto a wet base, meaning that if I put my foundation on and I really don't set the foundation and I apply these, then you can see the pigmentation more, obviously. Or if I go in with just a very light amount of powder and then go in with a natural haired brush that's quite, not too dense, but a little more dense, I can pick up more of the pigment and it will show better on my skin. I remember saying in my initial video that even though these shades may not show up the best on me, this would be the palette that I would like second, because I love these tones of blush. And then the highlighter shade right here really does look beautiful. This bronzer shade does not show up on my skin hardly at all, so I haven't really used it, but these are the shades that I have used the most, because when I do want to use an ambient lighting shade, this is the shade that I go in with. So I've gotten a lot of, when I say a lot, like I've gotten some good use out of this palette as well. The one that I have used the least has been the Butterfly palette, and in all honesty, I don't think I've used this palette since I created the video. Have I? No, I have not. So the thing for me about this palette is it's beautiful. The blush shades though are not shades that I reach for all the time, so that's one reason why I haven't used it. The highlighter shade is stunning. However, it is more of like a cooler toned highlighter shade. So these are the 3 shades I would use in this palette, but these are also shades that I don't use pretty often in like my everyday, day-to-day makeup type of wear style. So for that reason, this is why this is the palette that I have used the least, but I do like it. It's just not going to be a color story that I would reach for a lot, but I do want to use it because I have it and it is beautiful. But I would say if you're around my complexion, depending on what you like the most in terms of shades, I would say go with the Tiger palette or this color story, because you can get use out of all of the shades, and I think you would enjoy the entire palette and maybe find value in the cost of this palette. If you though know I don't like those deeper tones, but I can get with this, and if it shows up on you that I'm okay with it, then I would go with this color story. And then for the Butterfly palette, I mean, based on the types of blushes that you like, highlighters that you like, you know, you can make that choice that works best for you. But for me, all 3 of them are beautiful. I recommend all 3 of them. Just go with the color story that you feel you would use the most. But I'm very happy with the start that Hourglass has begun. Good job, Hourglass. Let's continue on. Okay, then for eyeshadow. So there were 3 eyeshadow palettes this month. 3? Was that it? 3 eyeshadow palettes this month that I was like, yes. So first, I didn't do a formal review of these because I picked them up a little later and I was just like, nobody wants to see this. But I did pick up 2 of the Chanel Tweed quads and I have been loving these. Okay, so I picked up this one. This is 04 Tweed Brune et Rose. Y'all know I'm not French, so I know I just butchered that. But this one is beautiful. I love that it is cool to neutral, but it's not too neutral. The shades do show up pretty nicely against my complexion. I'm not getting the most intense type of look, but I feel like that's not what Chanel is looking for or wanting the shades to do. But I do think we get good pigmentation from this quad. So I've really been enjoying it and I'm very happy that I picked up these 2. The other 2 I didn't bother picking up because they, like the orangey one, the formulation, the pigmentation just wasn't the best. And then there was a lighter one that I was like, this is, you know, not really gonna show up. So these 2, the second one I'm about to show you, I'm very happy with. The other one that I picked up is palette 01, and I'm not even going to try to pronounce that word, but this one is beautiful. So it's a warmer tone, and once again, the pigmentation does show up very nicely. It's one of those types of palettes where it's like, I need to throw on an eye look really quickly, and you can throw it on and you're like, that looks cute for like 5 minutes worth of work, you know? So I really, really, really love these. I'm gonna go, I think I mentioned earlier, I'm going out of town. I'm taking the 04 quad with me because She's beautiful. Okay, for the palette. The palette that stole the whole month for me. If you know me, you already know what I'm about to say. This Danessa Myricks Lightworks 4 palette. Let me tell you something. I try not to make y'all spend unnecessary money. I try not to. Now, I can't control what you do after you watch my video, but I try not to tell y'all need something. But I'm gonna be as biased as I can be and say, y'all need this palette. You need this palette. Now, you don't have to get it, but let me tell you why I love it. Of course, I've done a review on this. I will link that for you. First of all, I like that the sleeve that comes with it actually tells you the formula of the shades. I think that's great. And there's shade names on the palette. I loved her Lightworks 3 palette. It was the best palette I had ever tried when she came out with this. Lightworks 4 is even better. Did not think she could create something even better, but she did. So her velvet chromes that we see here they are so creamy and silky. Like when you see the shade swatch, it literally looks like silk. So on my eyes today, I'm actually wearing a combination of Lightworks 3 and 4. So I'll show you the Experience palette because the shade that I did use is in the Experience palette. And this one is still available. She did say recently that the Experience palette is getting low in stock, and this is also limited edition. So when it goes out, when she says that she's not bringing it back, she's not gonna bring it back. So for this eye look, I went in with her Color Fix in Nude 8 for my base, and then I went in with shade Escapism, which is right here, and that's what I put on this middle portion of my eye. Then I went in with the Lightworks 3 palette, and I took the shade Gaia, and that's what you see on this outer portion of the upper lid. For this inner portion of the lid, I went in with her Twin Flames pigment because on my cheeks, I'm wearing the new Patrick Ta blush and highlighter palette, and one of the little gifts that I could get were a mini size of her Twin Flames. So this is in the shade Crazy For You. I'll swatch it really quick so you can see it. It is beautiful. So this is the shade that I have in the inner portion of my eyes. And then I went back in with Lightworks 4. I took the shade Angels, and it was my inner corner. I kind of rubbed on my inner corner of my eye, so you don't see it too much right here, but you do see it a little bit here. And then I also took the shade Angels and I put it along the middle of the eye. Lower lash line, went in with the shade called Out of Body for the outer portion, and then I went in with Sixth Sense for this portion of the eye. And I'm just gonna swatch the shades that I use so you can see the formula of them. I mean, sickening. Escapism, Out of Body, Sixth Sense. They are silky, like they're stupidly silky. And then the shade Angels, she calls this her glass metallic shade. I love this shade because you can wear it as intensely as it looks on my finger, or you can sheer it out, and like shearing it out looks like fairy dust, literal fairy dust on your eyes or your face. I've worn this shade as a highlighter. I mean, it doesn't look ashy and chalky. Oh my gosh, I'm so in love with this palette. So in love with this palette. It's, you know, I say that you need this palette, you really don't need it, because if you know you're never gonna wear these shades, then don't waste your money. It's not cheap. But if you feel like you want a palette full of pops that are not going to play, that will make every look just elevated, go for this palette. Another thing that I love about it is that yes, you can wear these shades as intense as they look on the back of my hand, or you can sheer these babies out. So like I have worn to work, okay, I do work in a professional environment. So I say that in the sense of like, I can't, you know, like I wouldn't wear this eye look to work. You know, I'm not gonna say it's not professional, but you know what I'm saying. I wouldn't wear this eye look to work. However, I've taken this shade called Nirvana. So let me swatch Nirvana for you. I've taken Nirvana, right? And I have taken a fluffy brush. Sorry, I don't mean to use my middle finger like that. But I've taken a fluffy brush and just blended that all over the lid, okay? That definitely doesn't look overly intense. And then I've taken the shade called Divinity. This is another glass metallic, just like the Angel shade. And I have put Divinity in the inner corner and blended that out with a fluffy brush. And looking at these two shades on the back of my hand, you can definitely see that these are more wearable shades, that you could wear these to work or, you know, just out and about, but I don't want anything too crazy on the eye. But once again, still beautiful formulation, beautiful shades. So I love that you can wear these pops of color and you can wear them more subtly or you can wear them more intense. And it just looks stunning. Like I said, I will of course link my full review so you can see my thoughts, all of those things. I recently did get in the mail the, what does she call these? Her chrome amplifier. So this is her brush set that she, that she came out with this palette. And so they have a silicone tip and they have different sizes. So I haven't actually used the amplifiers. I kind of keep forgetting to use them. So I am going to use them soon. She suggests using a silicone tip brush with the Lightworks 4 palette because you just get more pigmentation. But I've been using my regular brushes like my Angie Hot and Flashy brushes, BK Beauty, rougher brushes. All of them have worked beautifully with the palette. And like I said, this one, like, it just brings me so much joy. It brings me so much joy. And I really feel like, you know, if you give it a chance, it'll bring you joy. That's my own, like, just personal plug that I want to put in there. But this palette has been, it has been so fun to play with. I've used it a lot in the short amount of time that I've had it, and I would highly, highly recommend it. Okay, and then lastly, because I didn't really have a lot, I mean, you know, that I've been like loving. Lastly, a fragrance. Okay, YSL Libre Le Parfum Honey Child. This thing is beautiful. So I am a Libra fan, okay? I have the regular YSL Libra, I have the Libra Intense. The only one that I'm missing is the Toilette, and I'm gonna go ahead and get that because I must complete the family. So when I saw this one, I was like, ooh, I need this. Okay, so this smells, it has the familial scent of YSL Libra, but this one is going to be just slightly different. So I saw a review where the individual was comparing all of the 4 fragrances in the Libra family, and I saw an individual comment and they were like, I have hated all of the other YSL Libra scents except for Le Parfum. So this one, I feel like this smells a little sweeter than the other ones. It's also not as masculine as YSL Libra and Intense. I saw in that same reviews, the reviewer said if you like the YSL Libra Intense, you're gonna love this one. I would agree to it. This one just has a bit of a softer, like, hint, flair to it, and it's beautiful. Lasts all day, all night. It is still going to be like the YSL Libra scent. It's not one of those skin scents, okay? Like, if you don't want people to smell you, don't get this one. But this is one of those beautiful, like, sexy, woody-ish type of scent. So this is one I would wear in the evening. This is one that I would wear when I'm like, I want you to literally see and hear and smell me, okay? But it's not overbearing. I at least don't think so. I don't think this is one that's gonna smother you when you smell it, or you're gonna be put off if somebody like walks into a room or walks past you. But for me, it would be like, oh, what are they wearing? I need to go ask them. To me, it gives more of that type of sensation. And like I said, it does smell very sexy. It smells sweet to me, but I don't think that is what's in the notes. I do think we get saffron in this. Is saffron sweet? I'm still learning my scents. I'm still learning them. I do believe we've got amber and saffron in this, if I remember correctly, but this one I have been loving. Loving this. So guys, that is it. Let me know what you have been loving from the month of September. Leave that down in the comment section below. And have you tried any of my favorites from this month? Are they your favorites? You know I want to hear them. Or if you don't like them, I like to hear those things too. And if you made it to this point in the video and you have yet to subscribe to my channel, I would love for you to consider subscribing and joining the Glam Girl Squad. And guys, that is it. Thank you so much for watching, and I really hope to see you in my very next video. Bye guys.